Oh yeah. Woohoo! Recently, I've gotten a lot of requests on certain pickles from the Slavic world, so I have decided to assemble the Avengers of the Slavic pickle game and have them all together under a singular roof. So we're going to walk through these. This is sort of the more, I don't want to call it pedestrian, but less insane pickle stuff. Behind we have the sweet pickles, so that's more the dessert stuff. And then in between we're going to have really odd sort of protein-based pickles. I imagine that this is what a morgue smells like. Everything is pickled, the entire place smells. This is going to be the tour of Slavic pickles. The pickle, so the cucumber. But here we have two versions of them. So this is very common in the Slavic world to have malosojni, which is little salt, and they're typically fresher, and then marnovini. So there are ones from like barrels, really salted, designed to sort of stay long term. Although it's a little bit late to have the malosojni because those are usually for spring, we have some of those here. This is more akin to a normal pickle. It's designed to be really crispy, really have that punch of dill and garlic. Standard pickle stuff. You're still with me. Excellent. But then we get to the one that has, it's a bit heavier. So these are typically pickled in giant wooden barrels, and there's a literal sort of cloud. And this is a good definition of the difference between pickling and fermenting. With a pickle, you have a vinegar or an acidic base that sort of kills any microbes and sort of keeps the vegetable in stasis. And with fermentation, you allow bacteria to sort of exist. And it sort of alters the flavor a little bit. Much softer, much less of a crisp, but you can tell that the flavor of the cucumber has been drastically altered from its original. Still got that garlic, still got the herbs. Usually it's mustard greens. We couldn't do a tour of Slavic pickles any justice if we didn't have vodka. When you are touring the region, if you come through, then, oh my God. Oh, it's imported. That's why it doesn't have the little stopper thing here. So if you come through Slavic regions, it's incredibly popular to have vodka with your pickles, or pickles with your vodka, depending on what your goal is for the evening. So the vodka really cuts through the pickle, and then the pickle cuts through the vodka. So it's sort of like a symbiotic relationship. And I thought that we would do some Stoli cucumber, because it's very on theme. It literally does smell like a cucumber. Cheers. Wow. So slightly lower ABV, but the taste is really cool. It really does taste like a pickle. I don't know if I'm the target market for this, but it's interesting. So yeah, that's the difference between pickled and fermented vegetables. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to call everything a pickle, but there is a mix of them in here. So we have tomatoes. So there are the red tomato and then the green tomato. So these vary wildly in terms of taste and consistency. The red ones are really delightful, but they can be a bit sour. They sort of explode in your mouth with this sort of acidic bite of almost soup. They're really, really delightful. And the green ones are tough and crazy bitter. So we're going to start with the red bad boy and get right into that. These are pickled at peak season, so they really have that taste of summer, but then that bam of acid. And it's super, super good. It might be a little strange the first time you try it, especially if you're not used to a lot of heavily pickled things. I don't particularly like these, but anything for you guys. Oh, it exploded in my mouth. Oh, it's super bitter. Very firm. Not very much of a fan of these. Some people love them. It's just very chewy, very bitter. And it does have that pop, but it sort of lacks that ripe tomato flavor. So it just feels like you're chewing a doorstop. And these are new. I've never tried these. These are little yellow tomatoes. So basically what I did to assemble all of this stuff is that Ukraine has markets, so farmers markets. And villagers come in typically every week and they sell their wares. And there are hundreds and hundreds of stalls selling 1,000 different varieties of pickles. So this may seem extreme, but this is really a focused window into the Slavic pickle world. They pickle everything. So the way that America deep fries things, they pickle stuff. So, yellow. Oh, it's a little bit sweeter. It has that same pop to it, but it's not incredibly acidic. It's not really cloying or abrasive. I think that anyone that likes pickles or tomatoes would enjoy that one. Okay, so we're sort of rotating into the more and more strange as we go. And here they have pickled cabbage. Some of it is fermented, so it's sort of like a sauerkraut, so very familiar to people in the States. This is with carrots and pepper. Cabbage. So I don't think that it's been sitting in the brine for very long. So it doesn't have time for really that pepper flavor to mingle with it. But it's still really crisp, really sharp. Gives us a chance to transition into the second and final version of vodka that we're going to have during this tasting. So I saw this and I thought it was super neat. It's corn vodka. 100% made in Ukraine. Just smells like vodka. I don't know if it's the incredible amount of acid in my mouth, but that's really quite smooth too. Is this? Yeah, 40%. So standard vodka doesn't really have a unique flavor, but it is a bit smooth. So here we have a transition into something that is incredibly Slavic. You'll see this in sort of all the post-Soviet regions as well, as it was sort of spread everywhere. But they pickle cabbage in large blocks. Sort of, they cut it into chunks instead of strips. And then they pickle it with beets. So with beets, they'll have these cabbages, and then the beets will sort of dye everything inside of it the color of a beet. And this stuff is really bizarre in terms of visual aesthetics, but it's super delicious. Bright, crispy. It takes a very boring cabbage, and it adds that zest of pickling. Plus, the sweetness of the beet is really cool. This is something that you can eat with almost any meal at almost any time. Super good stuff. This one is with celery root. So it is a pickled carrot that is infused with spice, celery root with it as well. And it's got a little bit of a punch to it, but again, a great one. So if you see this in the region, definitely give it a try. It's very popular. It's probably in most Eastern European delis. This would be great with any sandwich. The sweetness of the carrot and sort of that earthiness of celery, really great. The garlic plus a punch of pepper. Awesome, awesome stuff. Gotta love it. And so now we have beets. So these are pickled beets. If you don't like beets, obviously you won't like this. But it is definitely interesting. Oh, wow. I smell sort of like the earthiness of the beet is definitely accentuated. And I feel like they maybe added some oil to it. I smell like a sunflower element to it. So you have that earthiness of the beet, which is naturally sweet. It's softened a bit, obviously. Eating a raw beet's a little brutal by the pickling process. And then I do think that they added some sunflower element to it. Really, really good. I think that you should give this a try even if you don't like beets. So this is actually Asian in origin. It's tofu skins. They call it soyova sparja, so soy asparagus. But it's actually, so it does look vaguely like asparagus. But it's tofu skin. So they have tofu skin. It's a common ingredient in a lot of Asian dishes. But this is pickled. And it has a very weird smell to it. Very strange. Almost like unearthly. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this, but I really like this in Asian dishes. Especially with Szechuan and that type of stuff. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh. I can't do it. Yeah. So it has sort of swollen a bit, and it's definitely absorbed a lot of the acid, and it's sort of altered it. It's firm. It's so firm. I do not like this. I think that maybe this should be cooked into another ingredient. I feel like I'm probably eating this wrong, but yeah, that's a no from me, dog. Here we have pickled garlic stems. So they're usually sold in bundles, picked in the spring, and I love these. They're really bitter, they're really sharp, but they're really interesting. So yeah, it's got a lot of zing to it. This could also be cooked into other dishes as well. It is very fibrous, but it has a really cool flavor to it. So, good stuff. I'm gonna wet my whistle. So here we have two varieties. Oh my god, it squirted out. Oh no. Did I hit the ceiling? These are homemade. I've usually had homemade ones before. And this is just straight pickled garlic. Definitely take the skin. This one's. My eye! Oh, didn't even buy me dinner first. This is common. So this is what you'll usually get if you order at a restaurant or something. Plain garlic. Big pop, big zing. Really, really tangy. Definitely a palate cleanser. So it's sort of like pickled ginger, served with sushi. Okay, yeah. So this one's definitely got more of that color in it. But now we're going to try this and see if I've either just destroyed my palate or if I just prefer the clear one. Oh yeah. Oh God. Whew. So yeah, this definitely has a much bigger punch than the standard issued version of pickled garlic. This is definitely made to be had with vodka. There's no other logical reason to do this. So as we're sort of rounding home, we have pickled peppers. So the sweet old lady that sold us this sold us peppers, and these are pretty standard. They're super spicy. For a lot of Slavic people, their understanding of spice is sort of incomplete. They think that black pepper can be very spicy at times. So this could either blow your head off or just be absolutely mild. So we'll try this. I have two peppers here. So this is more standard, probably very spicy. But the lady that sold it to us, the sweetest lady on earth, sold us this and she wanted me to eat it in front of her. I am almost certain that this is a Scotch bonnet pepper, which is danger spicy for almost anyone. So I'm going to save this for the end of the video because I think that that's going to be lights out after that. But here we go, pickled pepper. Big zip. This, I think, is sort of the maximum level that you should have as a set with vodka. Okay, so this is the sort of standard vodka sampling. And then we're going to get into some niche stuff as well. So, cheers, guys. We're about halfway done. That was the sort of more standard round of pickling things. A lot of the pickling that sort of persists from the past is due to necessity, not because of a love of overly acidic foods or complicating fresh ingredients. It's to preserve things beyond their season, and then also to have sort of a stockpile of food for when times get tough. And sort of as a culture distances itself from these tough times, it sort of loses that pickling heritage. We're seeing that in the United States now. But these are things that are pickled that are odd, even given sort of pretty extreme desperation. But I'm here to guide and entertain. So first up, we have pickled pig's ear. That is correct. It is a pig's ear that has been pickled. And so this is pickled with carrots. It's got that nice tacky slime to it. Typically, pig's ears are fried or cooked. They're not this. And they're beer snacks, and they're actually quite good. But I think that the texture, it shouldn't... Oh, God, I can't express to you how gross this feels. Just imagine it. Pig's ear. Oh. The outside of it is too soft. It's like creamy. Like, when you squeeze it, it like literally just disintegrates. And then you're just left with this chewy cartilage core. Ah! The taste is pretty benign. It's just fat and then cartilage. But texturally, it's just awful. God, gross. Who would do this? Why? I don't think I'd give this to a dog. Here we have, it's called bieli gribochek. Looks like a babushki. So, it's like a butterfly. Yeah, so this is, I don't like them. I think that the even fresh, the moisture content of mushrooms is quite high. But this is pickled with, I've seen peppercorns and I think bay leaf was in the jar. This is probably not going to be a good time for me. So let's give this a go. Oh my God. There's so little flavor there. It's just like a weird alien texture. Ugh! Blech! Blech! If you have to pickle a mushroom to save it for later, just let it go. Just dry it. Dry it out and then rehydrate it. That's all you have to do. This is the stem. This actually has a smell. Alright, I'll try this. The stem of it, it's got a meatier texture to it, and it actually has the smell of the mushroom. So, fine. Stems are okay. On to the second mushroom. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got like this ectoplasmic drip to it. It's coated in sort of this slime. I feel like a Ghostbuster. It's like ectoplasm. These are mushrooms that grow on tree stumps, and they're less desirable because they're easier to find, they're more obvious. So, here we go. Cheers. I don't hate it. Kind of hate that I don't hate it. I thought I'd hate it. I was sure I'd hate it. In fact, I thought I'd lose my lunch. But I'd seen these and thought that they were so gross that I would never try. But yeah. Flavor-wise, it's a bit boring, but I really thought that this might be the end of the video. All right. Pleasantly surprised, hey-o. So this is a fish that is first fermented. They stop the fermentation process and then they pickle it. So this is going to be a wild ride, I imagine. So this is a fermented and then pickled and then... What? No. Do I have... Woohoo! No, still smell garlic. Like when I have pickled herring and that sort of thing, or sproti, whatever, there's still a very pungent fish smell. But this is, it's very scentless. Maybe that's a good thing. Oh. Oh, it's so salty. Oh my God. I can't do it. Oh, it's so pungent. Oh my God. Oh, it's like a first date with Poseidon. Why is there no smell? And then when you bite into it, it all just collapses. It loses all of its structural integrity and then it just sort of melts. It's like fish pudding. Ah, God. All right, so that's the oddities out of the way. Now we move on to what should be smooth sailing. These are the sweet treats. So, almost home free. But now this should be something that's a little bit more lighthearted. So these are the sweet treats. Some of these I've never had. Most of these I've never had, actually. These should be pretty interesting. I don't know how all of them are going to marry with that sort of pickling element that adds that sort of acidity. So it's a plum that has become a prune and then pickled. So a pickled prune. Wow. Very cool smell to it. Wow. I smell like star anise and cinnamon and clove. It's like they pickled this in mulled wine spices. This is super nice. The textures, it's a little spongy, but cakey, I would say. I've had these before, but I've never had this smell. These are really excellent. So these are all from homemade vendors. Wow. Wow. It's like eating cake. It's like a spice cake. Incredible. It's got a really sort of a Christmassy smell to it. The texture is fantastic. The bite is great. The mouth feels fantastic. Very cool. I love this. If I was a better baker, I would incorporate this into a cake. This is fantastic. So it should be noted that as you move into sort of the sweeter things, you would not take vodka with this. Just because vodka is for things that have bite. But since these have that bit of sweetness and drinking with them is not super common, we're just going to have a little bit of our Armenian brandy that won our tour of the Soviet drinks. This would be great with some dark chocolate as well, because the sort of notes match. I taste plum in the brandy. It feels like I taste brandy in the plums. I think that the apricot will be next. These have a little weird consistency. They're very squishy. These are very, very, very juicy feeling. Here we go. Wow, it's a lot of flavor. Usually when you eat something that's pickled that has that much liquid inside it, it's very acidic. But this, it has a sweetness to it. I feel like that they're maybe pickled with a higher sugar content so that it's closer to like a syrup. Oh, this one's much firmer, much firmer. This, I think, is a fantastic way to sort of preserve that fruit in a moment in time and then have it later in winter. Fantastic, it's really beautiful. Now we have two apples here. One was sour and then one was sweet. So we're going to try the sweet first and then the sour. So this is sort of it sort of loses all of its structural integrity. This looks like it may have been like a honeydew or something, a golden delicious. So it's definitely lost a lot of its form. The skin is still very, very tough. Okay, and so it's like a slab of applesauce. So this is the sweet one. Ugh. So these are made in barrels. I think there's some element of fermentation there. It's definitely changed the flavor and the consistency. A lot of bitter with that sweet. But let's see if leaning into that sort of bitterness creates something a bit better. Like this is what it looks like. Ugh, it's like a potato. So this one should be a little more sour. But I love sour apples. What is that? It just melts into a very strange disc of applesauce. It definitely does have more bitter flavor to it. Oh, it's like my tongue is tingling from it. God, it's so weird. No, both apples, no thank you. I think that maybe if you like way leaned into the sour, you got some Granny Smiths. I don't know how long these sit in those barrels, but this is definitely from a barrel. No, no, thank you. Pears. So these have maintained a bit of their structural integrity a bit more. The skin is still super firm, but these are definitely just plucked straight from some tree because they're so small. This is definitely a village pear, and then pickled. So we'll see. Now this is nice. I really like this. I was worried that the pickling process would sort of compromise the structure of the pear, sort of like the apple, but this is great. This is way better than any of the fruit cocktail sort of mixed fruits that I had as a kid. This is really, really fantastic. It's got that small little twinge of sour note to it, but it's still very sweet, but not overpoweringly so. This is fantastic. Totally changes the flavor profile, but in a fun way. Since again, same with the apricot, same with the plum, there's that little note of fruit and sweet that's in the brandy that sort of goes well with it. So again, small tastes, big flavor. You're not taking shots. You're not clearing your palate. You're letting those flavors sort of intermingle. So this is an entire watermelon that has been pickled in a barrel, and then they sell them also sliced, and it looks like this. So they pickle them at peak season, as with anything that you pickle. And so it's really oddly captured that sort of vibrant red. So that incredible, bright, lovely color. Oh, the texture. Oh, it's like raw meat. So this was sliced and pickled as a slice versus the whole thing. So, smells gross. Doesn't smell like a watermelon. My tongue touched it and it's salty. And it's just taken all of that acid and salt. It's just like a mouthful of seawater. I don't taste any of the sweetness. The texture has been obliterated. I don't know why the hell you would want to do this to yourself. You know, some things just need to be enjoyed when they should be enjoyed. Not every day can have a rainbow. Just eat a watermelon in the summer, guys. You don't need a watermelon in February. Okay, so let's see what this bad boy looks like here. Oh my god, it's so weird. Who does this? Like, look at that. What is this? This should be in like a movie, an alien movie. Ugh. Oh, it smells like a pickle! Like the pickle from the barrel. Just pickle. God. Oh, it's running down my wrist. Ah. Ugh, so drippy. And it's a small watermelon. These are probably like the crap ones they couldn't sell. So like, oh, let's pickle it. Oh god, it smells exactly like the zbochki, like the from a barrel pickles. It smells like a 1400s dungeon. Oh! Oh, it's so gross. It's just salt. That's awful. Shame. Like the phrase lightning in a bottle. Like they're trying to put lightning in a bottle, but not in a cutesy marketing way, but in a defying God sort of way. Just eat watermelon the way you should. Don't do this. Oh my god, it's so disgusting. Alright, so that's the sweet stuff. The watermelon is just a disaster. I don't know why anyone would ever want to do this. And that's why you don't see it very often. That's awful. Unforgivable. Unforgivable. I think that the winner for the day, the whole day, is these prunes. So the pickled prunes. I've never had anything that has such an incredible flavor and depth to it. Like, incredibly aromatic, very beautiful. This is something that's... I need to go find this lady and get the recipe from her. These are fantastic. So I hope you guys enjoyed that sort of selective window into the world of pickling, because, my God, they pickle everything out here, really. There are stalls and stalls and stalls of people selling pickled things. A lot of winners, a lot of losers, but I encourage you to try them because, or make it yourself. There's a book called The Art of Fermentation. Super incredible. There are Reddit groups around fermentation, so it's really worth learning just so that you can keep this skill alive. And sort of as an outro, I am going to eat this pepper that sweet old lady really wanted me to eat in front of her. And I think that she knew that it might be lethal. So, thank you guys very much. And as always, see you next time. That's not so bad. It's definitely got some punch to it, but I would say that the other ones are spicier. I think that the pickling process has taken the edge off. Sort of like me, but I guess that happens with age to anyone. Just enjoy things in the moment when you can have them. Don't force it.